What's going on, guys? I'm going to give you a new top 5 best loadouts for Ashika Island, Warzone 2, Al Mazrah after the update. Trust me, everything in this video will be useful, very easy to use so you guys don't have to struggle, and definitely be meta. So first thing is Tempest Torrent is not something that you want to use. I know a lot of people have been excited because it's a new weapon. Don't use it. It's just there's no point in using it. It's not meta. It does kill pretty fast, but it's not meta. It's going to be pretty hard to use. So what we're going to start out with is the Iso Hemlock. We're going to throw in the Harbinger D20 for the sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed. Put the bullet velocity at 0.87 inches and the recoil smoothness to 0.54 ounces. Put on the Fielder T50 for the damage range, bullet velocity, hip fire accuracy, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. Remember, this is an AR, so ADS isn't super important, but we will make sure it's taken care of. Set the damage range to 0.17 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.15 pounds. Put on the F-Tap Gripper 56 for aiming out stability, hipfire accuracy, and recoil stabilization at the cost of walking speed and aim down sight speed. Put the aiming out stability at 0.35 inches and the recoil stabilization to 0.65 ounces. Put on the 45 mag. If you don't want to use that, you can start out with the base, which is 30, but I don't recommend it. That's only if you want more movement, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. And last but not least, the aim out V4, set that to far. And check out how powerful this thing is. You don't even have to try. I'm barely going to hold down my thumbstick. And as you guys see, this thing has no recoil. You don't have to try. It's literally first attempt, first game on everything, 70% accuracy. And it's just meta. It's meta. There's no better gun, at least in the AR category right now. This is the best weapon to use. If you want to get long-range gunfights, easy kills, that's what you want to use. We're going to move on to the Vasna. Now, the Vasna is incredible. If you want to use the CAS one, you can. You don't really have to use it. The only downside is the damage range will go downhill if you don't use it. And the only alternative is if you don't use the CAS one, I would recommend either throwing on one of the muzzles, which will most likely be, which one is it? The lock shot, which is for the horizontal vertical recoil control. But if you use the CAS one, it's for damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control. You tune the damage ever so slightly, but the recoil steadiness is the thing I focus more on for 0.44 pounds. I also put on the 45 round mag. Now, this does decrease movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed, but I do recommend having as many bullets as possible just because this is Warzone and not competitive, so they're going to take a little bit longer to kill. They still kill incredibly fast with this loadout, but you just want to make sure you have enough bullets to get the job done. True Tight Grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed at the cost of recoil control. I set the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.15 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.58 ounces. Put on the broadside FCT for aiming stability, crouch movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint speed at the cost of aim walking speed and recoil control. Now I set the aiming out stability at 0.70 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 3.87 ounces. The outcome is beautiful. This thing is very easy to use and very easy to control. As you guys see, super low recoil. The only downside is long range gunfights are probably going to be a little more difficult. As you see, it does bounce around a little bit, so we're going to be really struggling to get this job done. Now, if you have aim like chain, then you won't really have this issue. I'll show you. It really is kind of basic. All you have to do is kind of get an idea of controlling the left and right swing. I don't really know how to explain it other than basically this is essentially what you're going to be doing when you're controlling the recoil. It's really hard to explain. Like, that's really the only way I can explain it, though. Like, that's how you control the recoil of the Vasna for super long range. Otherwise, you're just holding down the thumbstick for short to medium range. I don't know why it changes that much for long distance gunfights, but that's really all it is. So next we're going to move on to another weapon, which is going to be the MP5. Now the MP5 is my baby. I love this weapon so much, super easy to use, and this loadout right here is actually pretty incredible. So put on the VLK Laser 7MW for aim down sight speed, aiming stability, sprint to fire speed, but the laser is visible in ADS, which honestly who cares, this is a public game, so they're not going to be that good in the first place. I don't change the feet, but I do change the weight. Set that to negative 0.23 ounces for sprint to fire speed, 40 round mag, 9mm overpressured. Set the bullet velocity to 4.94 GR, damage range at 0.45 Gs, Merc 4 grip for hip fire accuracy, recoil steadiness, hip recoil control, and aim walking steadiness. And aim down sight speed do get a reduction, but set the aim down sight speed to negative 0.28 inches, and that does get taken care of. Set the weight to negative 0.62 ounces for hip walking speed. Trust me, you do want to have that on there. And then the LM stockless mod for aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control at the cost of aiming recoil control, aiming stability, and flinch resistance. None of that matters, trust me, because you're going to have really good movement with this weapon right here. Like, the movement is actually fantastic. Another amazing thing is, despite all the downsides, you still do have amazing recoil control from short to medium range. So you have a fantastic weapon that actually has great movement and great recoil control. I mean, what more could you really ask for? This is a fantastic weapon, and I honestly highly recommend using it. Now, as you guys may have saw earlier, I actually do have an RPK class. This is not the class you want to use. You want to use this class right here. RPK for the Polar Fire S for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. Set the bullet velocity at 0.32 inches and the recoil smoothness at 0.32 ounces. F-Tac Gripper 56 for aiming out stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization at the cost of walking speed and aim down sight speed. Set the aiming out stability at 0.21 inches and the recoil stabilization to 0.44 ounces. High velocity, 7.62 rounds. For bullet velocity at the cost of damage range. I maxed out the bullet velocity, I did not change the damage range. Now you're probably wondering why, because the recoil will actually go downhill. It sounds weird, but yeah, the recoil, it gets a lot worse when you do modify that. I put the Demo X2 grip on for recoil control at the cost of aiming stability. I increased the recoil steadiness to 0.74 ounces. And I put on the AimOp V4, tuned it to the max out the far distance, and it's still super easy to use this weapon. You barely have to try. And people have been telling me to hang it up with the RPK. It's just, there's no reason to. Especially when this is still so easy. Like, you don't have to put much effort into actually using this gun. And it's still extremely low recoil. Still gets the job done at basically any range, you know, short, medium, and long range. It's just, I already destroyed the entire team 3 times at the same clip. So to say that I wouldn't recommend this would be a massive lie, just because it's way too good. But the last thing I have to show you guys is the Fennec. The Fennec is still amazing, still a meta SMG. I saw somebody actually put it in B tier, and I'm actually really surprised. So put on the ZLR 16.5 ignition barrel for damage range, bullet velocity, hip fire accuracy, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. Put the damage range to 0.25 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.32 pounds. Put on the 45 auto overpressured for the ammunition. Set the bullet velocity of 5.52 GR, damage range of 0.25 Gs. Fennec Mag 45 for magazine ammo capacity. Now it does move your movement speed, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed down a little bit, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend anything else. Put on the Fennec Rubber Mag for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed at the cost of recoil control. Don't worry, this already has low recoil, so set the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.16 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 0.68 ounces. Put on the Agile Assault 7 stock for sprint speed, aim down sight speed, crouch movement speed, and aim down sight speed. Aim walking speed, I'm sorry. At the cost of aiming stability and recoil control. Max out the aiming out stability and put the aim down sight speed to negative 2.06 ounces. The outcome is beautiful and it is super easy to actually use this weapon. Short to medium range, fantastic. Long range, you're going to have to burst fire. It's really that simple. But you see how fast it actually does take out the enemy. This is something I highly recommend. And because of how fast it actually takes out the enemy long range, you really can burst fire with no issue and actually knock the enemy. So, hope this video did help you out. If it did, let me know in the comment section down below which setup you use. Greatly appreciate it.